Hey everyone, welcome back to Yoga Philosophy Club. So I have with me my friend Yannick, and we're just driving up to a little gathering with our friends, and so I thought maybe I could interview Yannick about his experience with meditation, and so yeah, here we go. So Yannick, what was your life like before you started meditation, and how did meditation or the practice of Bhakti Yoga change that?
So I think I'm living in Australia now for a year, and that's where I found out about meditation. And before I was doing yoga asanas, but not meditating. So my life, I think, when I started doing yoga asanas, it already started to change a little. So before I was smoking cigarettes and weed as well, because I'm from the Netherlands. You know, that's what you do when you're from there.
Oh yeah, it's popular over there?
It is legal there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it is. So the new models that they have now in America and all other places, they've learned it from the Netherlands.
Oh really?
Yeah.
And was it illegal before?
Yeah, but it's a long time ago. Since I live there, it's legal. So when you're 18 plus, you can just go to a coffee shop. That's how they call it, and you can buy it legal, and you can smoke it, and nobody makes a problem out of it.
And I know this is a bit off topic, but do you think it's a good idea for marijuana to be legalized? Do you see, is it good for society, or do you think it should be like illegal?
So the thing is, what I think is, it happens anyway.
Yeah.
When it's illegal. So here it happens as well, and here it's illegal. And the number of people that I've met here that smoke weed on a regular basis is like, I thought it was all, from what I saw on television, it was like everything is prohibited here, and when you do that, that's really, really dangerous. But anyone does it, everyone does it. So what I think is, it's better to legalize it because it happens anyway.
Yeah.
But not the way it is now in the Netherlands. It should be legalized in a way that people know the risks of what it is that they're doing, and education is an important part in legalizing, and it should also be more regulated in a sense that it's not that easy for people to do. For example, you can do tests before you're able to buy it, or it must be regulated in a comprehensive way, and it's also better for criminalism, because if you do it, then criminals, it's not really that lucrative for criminals anymore, because everything is legalized. So in that sense, there's a couple of things that I think would be good.
And also, you have less people going to prison and getting criminal records, which is a good thing too. I mean, the thing I find strange about it is that like alcohol is so much worse for you than smoking weed, right?
It is, it is.
And that's completely legal. So it's really strange that one is legal and one isn't. Huh?
I think as well, because it's legal in the Netherlands, I think for a lot of people, it's more of a phase. When you're younger, when you're about 18, maybe 17, or maybe a bit younger, maybe 16, you start smoking weed and you think, like, okay, I'll do it, and then after a year or a few years, you're over it. It's just a phase that you've just done it, and then now you can move on, and you accept that it's legal. And some people go to coffee shops, and especially tourists in the Netherlands, they go to coffee shops because it's legal and stuff. But most people, they just do it for a while, and then they'll stop, and then they'll move on. But alcohol is like, it's everywhere. You can get it everywhere, and the pressure is way higher, because here, for example, in this country, everybody's drinking every day of the week. Not everybody, but a lot of people.
Yeah, huge.
The students that I hang out with here are drinking basically on every occasion that you meet each other. And so I think in that way here maybe that's a thing as well, because it's illegal. You think that it's something that is really exciting to do because it's illegal.
Yeah.
And in the Netherlands, that excitement is gone because it's legal. You can just go and do it. So for me, that was, in my life, it was a phase. After a while of, hanging out and smoking weed and sometimes drinking alcohol as well, hanging out with my friends and not really achieving anything.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just hanging out
and
then basically escaping from reality and having a good time. It was a good time, but it was in a sense meaningless.
Yeah, for me, I had the same kind of experience with alcohol. Like when I used to drink alcohol until I was about 18 when it became legal.
Yeah.
In Canada where I live.
Yeah.
And as soon as it was legal, it wasn't fun for me anymore. Because there was the whole like sneaking around bit part of it. But that was the fun part, and then it was legal, and I was like, I don't even want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I stopped.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to your
So I think 5 years ago I stopped smoking, cigarettes because I thought this is not good, and then a year later I stopped smoking weed because I didn't feel like I was achieving something. I lost my ambition. I was still studying. I was doing a bachelor of communications, and then once I found out that when I stopped smoking weed and I stopped taking these intoxicants, I felt that I was more ambitious, and then I could achieve some things. And so the time that I put into study instead of into mucking around, I found that I could really get some high marks and get some good grades. And once I finished my study, I sort of decided to move on and then come to Australia. And so prior to coming to Australia, I wasn't smoking anymore, but I was still going to parties with friends, and drinking was always a thing.
Yeah.
And so we were eating healthy. We were conscious of what we're putting in our bodies. But
when you say we, you mean you and
me and my girlfriend Denise.
Yeah.
And so we've been together now for 5 years, and so we started eating a bit healthier. At least that's what we thought. We were still eating meat at the time, and fish and all that stuff. And then when we came to Australia, we came to the university and we got introduced to one of the founders of the yoga, Griffith Yoga Lifestyle Club. And we were doing yoga asanas, as I said, for a few years already. And then we thought, okay, cool. They have yoga here. Let's go to yoga. And then this lady, the founder Chantel, she asked us if we wanted to become part of the committee of the yoga club. And we thought, okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that, because always an extracurricular activity is nice. And then we found out about that it was more than yoga, because it's called Yoga Lifestyle Club.
Right.
And then we found out that it was more, it was meditation as well, and yoga wisdom. And we were not really into that. And I wasn't really looking for it, or really open for it. So the first time, I remember the first gathering was with Acharya Das. And when he was speaking, it was super interesting. But then when they were singing Kirtan, it felt a little bit unnatural for me. I was like, okay, what is this?
Right.
But then I kept coming, and the more I came, the more I started appreciating singing mantras. And then you came and you did a talk about mantras as well. And then I started coming along to the center in West End, and then I went on to we wanted to dive in a bit deeper, and then we went to one of your Bhakti camps. And that was really, for us, I think that was the start of implementing it in a more serious way. So then we started.
Is it because like it gave you a grasp of what Bhakti Yoga was really all about?
Yes.
Or is that?
I had all these bits and pieces of bit of a knowledge, sort of an understanding of what these bits and pieces were. But on Bhakti Camp, when we put turned off our phones for 3 days, and we just only did meditation and yoga for 3 days, and all these bits and pieces they sort of fell into place,
right?
And then also it's here to the right.
Yeah.
So then when I got this more of an understanding, I thought, wow, this is really what I'm doing. It makes sense what I'm doing, and I already felt that what I was doing, so meditation in the morning, felt good, And then once I learned more about it, I got some tips on how to improve, and then I started coming along to gatherings with people, and now I'm meditating every day for at least an hour.
So I guess at one point you kind of understood it to be like something that's achievable and you can work towards, and it's not something like, in other words, maybe in the beginning, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, I don't know, but in the beginning, did you maybe feel like, oh, it's just something to like sign up for or join, and then at some point did you realize, oh, it's something I can actually work towards and achieve something in?
It started very quickly that I realized that it was something that I could achieve.
Right.
Because the conversation that I had with people is that people they all said that it was so wonderful, it was so nice, and people felt so great, and it was better than anything else, Yeah. And I had experienced, all of the stuff that you could do to make you feel better, like intoxicants or whatever. And so then that made me realize that I was actually looking for something that was, this beautiful, wonderful. And so when people started telling me about how great it was, I was like, wow, yeah, this is really something that I want to achieve as well. And because it's a personal thing that you need to build on, I thought, I definitely want to try it. And it was because everyone said you don't have to give up anything. I was like that. I didn't want to, give up a lot of things. I was drinking alcohol, and I found out very quickly that people weren't eating meat, weren't drinking alcohol and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm happy to move forward, but I don't want to, stop right away with doing other stuff. And everybody told me you don't have to give up anything. And so I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then I started doing it, and I convinced myself, okay, we'll just go on, and I won't give up anyway, but we'll see, And then after a while, we just stopped eating meat because it didn't feel right anymore.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I'll stop eating meat and fish, but eggs, I can't skip eggs, because we were baking cakes and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, eggs, I need eggs in my life, And then just after a few weeks, I just had breakfast with eggs somehow.
Yeah.
And I felt really gross, and I was like, I just don't want to have it anymore. And I was always like, whenever I have something in the cupboard, I don't want to throw it away just because I decide to not eat it anymore. I'm finishing it, and then I'll stop eating it, right?
Yeah.
But now I was like, I just chucked the whole eggs in the bin, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So then I stopped, and the same.
And so when was that? Like, how long ago was that?
That was in August last year. When we stopped eating meat. Okay. And I think a month later I stopped eating eggs. And so that was around, 4 months after I was doing, coming along to the kirtan, doing meditation.
Yeah. And that was before the Bhakti Camp? Or was it after?
That was after, I'm not sure.
After the first one. You went to 2, right?
Yeah, I went to 2. And I think I think it was before the first Bhakti Camp. Yeah, I think it was before the first Bhakti Camp.
And so Denise, at the same time, she did it
at the same time, and I think she stopped eating eggs because she had like these dietary requirements. She's sort of an intolerance or something. So she just went vegan, sort of.
Yeah.
Stopped eating eggs. Yeah.
So after you gave up eating meat and eggs, what did you notice in relation to your body and also like your consciousness? Did you notice any change because of that?
No, the thing is that I didn't notice any change in terms of that it was bad for me or so. But because I had conversation with, for example, my mother, and she had done this in her youth, and she was like, okay, well, I had done this and I have found out that it wasn't really that beneficial, so it's probably just a phase where you're going through and you miss out on a lot of nutrients and stuff like that, so be careful. And I didn't really had that feeling. I felt that I didn't miss anything.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really that I felt a lot better in terms of, you know, the way I was. I was in my body, but I didn't feel that it was bad either. So I thought it was a good choice. But in terms of my meditation practice, I saw improvement there because
it'd be kind of hard for you to see what affected what, because you kind of started it's like you gave up meat and became vegetarian like at the same time as you were practicing you started getting serious about meditation.
Yeah.
So it's hard to see like where the benefit came from.
I'm not sure if it's a cause.
Yeah. Like for me, when I became vegetarian when I was, I think, 15 or 16, and I didn't start meditation until I was like maybe 17 or 18. But it was I think that because I became vegetarian and vegan at that time, that helped a lot for me to be able to like become aware of things that I don't think I would be interested in if I hadn't given up meat. It just kind of expands your consciousness, because when you give up meat, like it's more easy to see that those living beings are actually living beings. They're not just food products.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it opens up your kind of scope of who you care for.
Yeah.
And you feel like a kind of kinship with your kinship expands, not just your race, but also, I mean, not just your species, but also other species as well. Yeah. So, it kind of, I don't know, somehow, some way, maybe inexplicably, I mean, now I understand why a little bit more, but at that time I didn't really understand why. But I don't think if I had given up meat, I don't know how open I would be to meditation, So, but anyway, but then I started meditation after, so I could see the benefits from only giving up meat. Yeah. Right. Yeah, whereas you kind of did it all at the same time. So.
Yeah, that's. So before I came to Australia, I had the same thing. I stopped smoking, and I started eating healthy. So I changed it completely, and then I felt I felt better. Now I sort of did the same. Started doing everything differently,
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't know exactly what is the cause of you feeling better.
So you had no interest in meditation before, like growing up? I
was always open-minded, and I had this book that was about mindfulness, and I was going to read it because I was always interested in sort of understanding the mind, or maybe not controlling, but have a good balance between mind and body. And I wasn't aware of all the knowledge that is out there. But I was always interested in that, but I had never attempted to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, for me, I had ever since I can remember, maybe not ever since I can remember, but I think probably I was 13, 14. I started, whenever I heard about meditation, I just thought, that's really interesting, and I got a little bit older when I was doing drugs and, you know, smoking weed and drinking, I kind of had this knowing for some reason that
You turn left here.
I had this knowing that this is like the fake version of the real thing that the yogis are experiencing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a cheap fake version,
Yeah.
you know? And so are we going straight? Yeah. So you know, but I always thought meditation would be like too difficult, like just real hard, and like it's just like I'd have to be like, I couldn't even sit cross-legged. I still can barely sit cross-legged.
Yeah,
you know?
I have that still. Yeah.
So I just thought, like, you know, you'd have to, and for a lot of meditation practices you kind of do, well, not really, like you have to have a straight back for like Kundalini yoga and Ashtanga yoga. Your back has to be straight, but your legs don't have to be crossed. But anyway, I thought they did. But for that's the cool thing about Bhakti Yoga is, and the meditation is mantra meditation, which is focusing on the mantra, and you can have your body in any kind of position.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
And actually, just lately, I've found I got one of those. I don't know if you've ever seen these like little. They're like this high. They're like this high, and they're like it's like a bench, like a little bench, and you sit on it, and your legs go underneath you. It's kind of like. Have you seen those things?
Oh, and then you have a sort of a, so you lean on your upper legs.
Yeah, well, you sit on you sit on like almost your butt, but not quite, like
okay.
on your upper. You sit on that, and then your legs go underneath you, and it's like a bench. Your legs go under the bench.
Okay.
It's like a little tiny. Anyway, it's a little tiny seat, and I really like it, and I found that. When I do my meditation, I use that, and my back's nice and straight, and my back's in a comfortable spot.
Yeah.
I feel like I can focus a lot better.
Okay, yeah.
More than laying down. It's something I've just kind of come across and just realized. But I used to, because I have a bad back, I used to just lay down on my bed and do it. And I find just because when I lay on my bed, I guess it's because, I don't know, my mind's used to laying down and sleeping, so my mind it's easier for my mind to just kind of wander off.
Yeah.
But if I sit straight up, I've noticed that it's better.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, in Bhakti Yoga, it doesn't really matter that much. You just got to do what you got to find what works for you, you know?
Yeah.
And because you're not raising any chi, it's not that kind of meditation, then you don't need to have a straight back, you know? So that's one thing that I thought was really cool about Bhakti Yoga, is I could do it with my messed up body, you know? And I didn't have to sit straight up and cross-legged, which is really cool.
I think I have exact the same issue, is that when I sit for a longer period, you know, straight, without any support, without any back support, I can't maintain it for longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then I have to or change the position, or, you know, lean into a chair or whatever. So yeah, that was for me. That was really interesting to find out that you don't have to sit cross-legged and sit still for half an hour to an hour and, you know, don't do anything. You can just move, and that is really beneficial for my practice, that I understand.
Yeah.
That you don't have to sit still all the time, you know.
Yeah. So maybe you started with doing maybe 5-10 minutes a day, and then, or like, how did you?
I think I started with I think it was 10 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 minutes a day in the morning, and then after a while I started doing, I think, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then a bit later, and I think that was 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago, I started doing probably 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to see a sort of health practitioner, and she said, because I wasn't sleeping that well, she said, you should do meditation before you go to bed.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, I do meditation in the morning already.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite long, you know, 40 minutes. I was like, okay, it's quite long.
Yeah.
And then she said, you got to do it before you go to bed as well. So then I added 20 minutes before going to sleep.
Oh yeah, cool.
So I'm doing.
And has that helped with the sleeping?
In the beginning, yes, but now we're in the new house. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
I think still have to adjust to the new house.
I find it helps me.
But yeah, I think it's better than not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I have trouble sleeping, that's what I do. I do some meditation.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, because I have a minimum number that I do number of rounds that I do every day.
Yeah.
So sometimes if it's after midnight and I can't sleep, I'm just like, oh well, I'll just do the next day's meditation then. So I'm not stressed about not going to sleep because that's the time I would have woken up early to do my meditation. So that's something I do, and then usually I can do about 4 or 5 rounds, and then I get tired and then I go to sleep. And then I only have I have 4 less to do the next day.
Yeah, that's good.
But so anyway, that's at least I'm not stressing about, because I think a lot of times when you can't sleep at night, the stress is that you have to get up early and you're losing your time of sleep. You're losing your time, right? But if you get to sleep a little bit later and you don't have to wake up earlier, then you know what I mean. It's not so stressful, and then because it's not stressful, you can get to sleep earlier. Anyway, that's just my crazy mind. I think we passed it. We got to turn around. We went past our destination.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. We got to find our destination here and concentrate. So thank you, Yannick, for stopping by the philosophy car here.
Being a guest in a philosophy car. Awesome. It's great, man. Thanks for having me.